as I promised, with a little bit of a delay. That's because this week was kind of hectic. I promised I would go ahead and finish the rest of these by the end of the week, which I kind of played around with some of them the other day to go ahead and get them wiped out. We'll go ahead and start working through some of these problems. The first one that we're going to start off with is drop duplicate rows. So looking at the problem, there's some duplicate rows within the data frame based on the email column. Write a solution that removes these duplicate rows to only keep the first occurrence, right? So if we look at the input, we see we've got a total of 6 columns. They go ahead and reduce it to 5. It looks like it is all based off of John, and it looks like we are keeping the first one with the name Alice, right? So with Pandas, the first thing that we could look at is we can actually look at that data frame, and we could just go ahead and return the result. As always, if you want to go ahead and create a new data frame based off of that, you could just call it a data frame and then what we're about to do. But we're going to go ahead and just return the result because that's all they're after. And we would just look at the customers because that's what we're after. This is our data frame. From there, we are just going to drop the duplicates. And inside there, we are going to look at the subset, which is going to be email. And if you remember, we are after the first instance, right? So we want to keep the first instance. In this case, you just type in first, and that should go ahead and work, and we could go ahead and submit this. And we'll go later. And that will conclude that one. It's fairly efficient. It's up and down. A couple times I've ran it, so this time is 40%. Before I had significantly higher. All right, the next one we are going to look at 2883, drop missing data. So in this case, we are going to look at reducing it from 4 rows down to 3, and we can see that there are some rows that have the value of the name column. Write a solution with the rows that are missing these values. We notice we've got none there instead of NaN, right? So we could go ahead and return again, since we're not needing a new data frame. In this case, we are after students. And this is going to be on that location, students. And then we are going to look at the name column. And then we are going to, not NA, right? And then that's going to remove anything that is NA, and it's going to reduce it. That's looking at that one row, right? There are other methods. Oh, if I had a comma, that's beautiful. There's other ways. There's isNull. There's a lot of different things. I would definitely take a look at some of the different options because you're going to constantly have to make sure that you're removing data that doesn't have any value. Negatively, I mean, I like as much data as I can get, but if I've got null values and I'm trying to train data on it, this is not going to work, right? So we'll go ahead and run this to see I have an error. Huh. That's awesome. Typo. All right, let's go ahead and run this. All right, looks like that is good to go. We're beat about 40. 4%. And then we will go ahead and move over to modifying the salary column, right? So a company intends to give an employee a pay raise. That would be awesome. Write a solution that modifies the salary and multiply it by 2. That, you know, if I went to work and my boss is actually multiplying my salary by 2, I think that would be one of the best days ever, right? I think that can only be toppled by winning the lottery, but hey, I'll run with it. If you remember correctly, one of the first ones that we did a while back, we were creating bonuses, right? So this is a very similar concept. You're just taking that, and we're just going to go ahead and multiply that. So in this case, we could go ahead and take the employee's salary, right? And have a wonderful day. With that big pay increase is going to be this employee's salary times 2. And then we're going to return the employees, right? And that's just going to kind of double up everything on that side. So if we go ahead and run it, we shouldn't have any issues. And somebody had an amazing day that got that ran in their table. All right, and we'll submit that. About 20%. And let's go ahead and move on to renaming the columns. All right, so renaming the columns, we have the ID, first name, last name, and age. If we look at the output result, right? So they want to write a solution that puts the ID to student ID, the first name, first to first name, last to last name, age to age in years. So a couple different ways to do it, depending on what you're doing. This kind of heads up, one of the use cases I actually had at work, sometimes you run into space if you're dealing with CSV columns. In that case, it's going to be a totally different method, but similar concept, right? So you can do a replace to go over a lot of things really quick. In this case, we can't really do a replace because we're adding verbiage to it, right? So in this case, we're just going to go ahead and return the students, right? And we are going to go ahead and .rename. And it's kind of self-explanatory right here. Do this, and then we will go columns, and equal, and then we can do this. And we're going to go ahead and have to grab all these, right? So I'm just going to kind of cheat, grab these. Don't need this, don't need this, don't need this, right? And then, cool thing, this, we can just highlight these guys. And then actually you want to do a colon and then grab student name, the student ID. Make sure we're getting spaces. You want to put a comma in between each one of these. If you don't put a comma, you're going to run into some issues, right? But yeah, we get this. Put everything in there, and then once again, comma, last name, semicolon, and then I get this last underscore name. It's probably just as quick to type it all out, right? Instead of copy and paste and being lazy. And then same thing here, and then age in years. Pretty descriptive, I guess. All right, and see if we got any errors. Nope. And we are good to go. Like I said, we're just taking the columns, we're renaming everything, and you're doing it like that, right? So we'll go ahead and submit this. Wipes out another one. It's a little bit faster on this one, so 93%, and memory 59%. So I like that. That's a lot better, right? And let's look at change data types. Okay, so Pandas is a little bit different, right? In this case, you're still casting it just like SQL, but we're going to do it to as type, right? So you can do student grades, so students, and then grades is equal to student grades dot as type. Now there's a couple different ways I've actually seen this. You could go like int, right? Or you can do int, right? So either one, we're just going to go ahead and show you return. And we're just returning the students. And I think that is going to solve that. So you're going to drop these zeros, right? And you're going to go straight over to an int, right? From there, we can go ahead and run this. And you see I get a error because of why. Like, what did you not like about that? Ah. Yeah, student grade. All right, and like I said, we're good to go. And this kind of show you a couple different ways I've seen this. You can also do it this way. I don't think you're going to have any issues. Could be wrong. Nope. See, you can do it both ways. We'll go ahead and submit it. And we're running about 16%, but we're running a little bit better on the memory. All right. Getting close to wrapping these up. All right, so we're going to fill in the missing data. So we've got nones, and then we want to turn them into zeros. All right, so yeah, a lot of times you want to fill the data. It really depends on the scenario, right? So you have to think about it when you're filling data, especially if you're summing up, right? If I'm doing an average and I'm adding a whole bunch of zeros in there, obviously my data is not going to be accurate. If I'm just summing things up and I'm just trying to clean it up and I don't have a result, zeros might be fine. You really have to look at the project and how you're actually doing things. In this case, I mean, they just want to go ahead and take that and sum up that data, and then we're just going to go ahead and do that real quick. So in this case, we are going to look at your products dot and then we are going to make that equal product quantities dot fill NA, and then we're going to put a 0 in there, right? Pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, that was awesome. And then we're just going to return the products. So fill NA is going to actually put anything in there that you want to put in there, right? So we can go ahead and run this. And now we get zeros. And you probably get an error, right? But this to prove that whole point, I mean, I could even make this, question mark, right? Which is also like a null value, right? So maybe I want it to be that way, but it's going to fill in that gap, and I guess it just doesn't like that syntax. But I have seen that actually work, so that's kind of weird. All right, go ahead and run with this. It was the same thing as coalescing, or just give me the bad answer. So maybe you can't do symbols and stuff. Yeah. So I could put a 1 there, right? If I wanted to. But anyway, if they ask for a 0, we're going to go ahead and give them a 0 and we'll submit it. Should be good to go. Maybe I was wrong. You can't do it that way. All right. And we're at about 74% and 73%. So not too bad. All right. Now we're moving on to concatenating data, right? So let's see what we are concatenating. Oh, yeah, we're not really concatenating data. To me, if somebody told me we're concatenating data, I guess it's always good to find out, like, what are they truly after? If I look at this, we're merging the data, right? So this is kind of like taking those two different things. If we look at it from SQL, right, we would probably say that maybe we're doing a union or a full outer join to get everything, right, to where they all kind of match up. You know, that's union probably would be a little bit better than a full outer join, but you know, we're going to get it where things don't match, right? So we're going to merge that data.